So before we actually get into today's video, I want to talk to you guys about jerseyfifa.com, because as you can see they have hooked me up with a load of fresh shirts for this year's World Cup. I've got the England home kit, the England away kit, and also a nice little retro shirt. And you can do exactly the same if you head to jerseyfifa.com using the link in the description down below. They also do the same for club football as well, the latest home shirts, away shirts, but also some really nice retro kits. If you are interested, head to the link in the description down below and use code jerseyfifa for a discount when you order. Now into the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where we are back with the scouting for Manchester United series, and this time it's someone rather familiar on the channel, Malo Gusto. Now, straight away, if you guys are regular watchers of the channel, you will know that I absolutely love this guy. He's one of my favourite players in Europe, and for me, he is the next big thing in terms of fullbacks. So, kind of what I'd normally do in these videos at the end of the video is say, oh, I think they're a B rating, or a C rating, or an A rating on whether or not United should sign them. That's kind of what I tend to do at the end. For me, Malo Gusto is right up there as a player that Manchester United should certainly have on their shortlist, but also other clubs should as well. Teams like Real Madrid should have him up there. He is quality, genuine quality, and I want to talk a bit about him today because we've covered him before in videos, but never as a sole focus on him, I believe, unless I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I don't really care. But I believe in the past we've only put him in videos where I've gone, here's 5 players you should watch out for this season, and we've included Gusto. Today I want to take more of an individual look on him, just Malo Gusto. He's currently 19 years old, stands at about 5'8", 5'9" tall, playing for Lyon and the French under-21 team, unfortunately not in their World Cup squad this year, although in my opinion that's wrong, and he's currently got a contract with Lyon which runs out in 2024, which we will come back to towards the end of the video. In terms of his playstyle as a player, for me he is very much in the mould of a modern day fullback. He can do a bit of everything. He is, of course, good defensively, which is the most important thing, but he's also very good on the ball, very technical, looks to get forward, can play inverted, can play out wide, contribute to the attack. He really does a bit of everything, and what I want to focus on initially is what he does on the ball, because as we can see from his passing FB ref report here, that is very, very impressive. For a 19-year-old to be producing these numbers in a Lyon team which is struggling, a Lyon team which has been struggling for about 18 months now, so in quite a poor side, he is producing some absolutely brilliant numbers in terms of his passing, and for me, he is one of the best fullbacks on the ball in the world right now. So if he was to come into Manchester United's team in that right-back role and take Dalot out of the team, that is one thing that he would bring immediately. In terms of if Manchester United under Ten Hag are a team that want to build out from the back and build possession and dominate the ball, Gusto is certainly someone that can do that. He is also very good at taking the ball under pressure, so let's put a couple of opposition players in. Let's say Manchester United being pressed. He's very good at opening his body up to receive the ball, receiving, turning away from the pressure, and then playing a simple ball down the line by opening his body up and playing it down here. Something which Dalot does reasonably well, but not always. I think Gusto is better at it. He also has a good understanding of when that isn't possible, and when his first touch has to be backwards, which at times can be frustrating to watch, but at times it is what you need to do if the forward option isn't on. So he has a good understanding of when he can take that risk to play forward. What I also like is if the team are being pressed down the other side of the pitch, so his team's left back have the ball, they're building like this. He is very good at receiving long switched passes, and again, that good technical quality of his allows him to bring the ball down, and because the team, the opposition I should say, have pressed over the other side, it then gives him a bit of space from where he can play forward. Now, in terms of playing forward, like I said a minute ago, he can play both inverted or out wide, and I think that could be ideal for this United side. Let's just get these opposition players back out the way again. I'm sure I'll bring them back in later. In terms of Manchester United's current shape, we often see Antony holding the width on the right-hand side, Rashford is slightly tucked in on the left, Shaw slightly higher on the left-hand side here, Bruno Fernandes kind of here, Eriksen here, Casemiro holding, and then Varane and Martinez like this, with obviously at the moment Dalot kind of playing in this area here, slightly tucked in, but what we can see is that United are currently quite left side heavy. Martial likes to drift left, Bruno Fernandes does, Eriksen is building down this side, and Luke Shaw is the more attacking of the two fullbacks. So someone like Gusto could allow United to kind of balance that up a little bit, and I think he could develop quite a good relationship with Antony. Now, Antony had a very, very good understanding with Mazraoui at Ajax. Gusto has a lot of similarities to the way that Mazraoui plays. So Gusto could be very good in this area at progressing the ball for his side, but also linking up with Antony, bringing Antony into the side, into the play I should say, and therefore giving Manchester United greater attacking balance, which is drastically going to help them. In terms of in this area, there are things that he can improve on. For example, let's say Manchester United, if he was a United player, were building the ball down the left-hand side. Something that can be quite a good weapon is if you build down this side and then switch out to the other side, because again, the opposition are shifted over. If you can play down this side and then switch the ball, you can drag the opposition's fullback out. I think Gusto can improve at making kind of third man runs off the ball, making these underlapping runs, these runs off the ball which exploit spaces left by opposition. I think that is something he can work on. However, in general, his play in possession is very, very good. And I do think being in this inverted area would really allow him to bring a real element of control for Manchester United. But again, if we go back to that FBref report, real progression. Just look at all of these numbers. In terms of progressive passing distance, the 83rd percentile. Total passing distance, 94th percentile. Just very, very good. And what we can also see, if we look down the bottom here, is his expected assists in the 96th percentile, and his crosses into the penalty area, the 99th percentile, and the passes into the penalty area, 92nd percentile. Again, got to take into consideration that he's playing in a Lyon side, which they really aren't great. I watch Lyon a lot. They are my favourite team in France. They're not very good, though. So for Gusto to be producing these good attacking numbers really highlights his personal individual quality, because he is very, very good. What would also work in his link up with Antony is that Antony sometimes likes to come inside. If that is the case, Gusto is more than happy to overlap. Again, looking at his crossing numbers, putting the ball into this sort of area, I think his crossing can improve, but because of the volume of crosses that he's able to get into the box, if you put 10 good crosses in, or if you put 10 crosses into the box, you are going to get some good crosses in. That's kind of where he's at a little bit at the moment, so I think he can improve a little bit in his crossing. But in general, I think he would really bring something to this Manchester United attack. What I also like about a fullback playing in this narrower position is it gives his side a better rest defence, which is essentially when you've got possession and you're building the ball, but you're still setting yourself up in a position for if you lose the ball, you're ready to counter press and you're ready to lose possession basically. It sounds odd because you're attacking, but you're still ready to lose the ball. Having someone like Gusto in this area would be very, very effective at that, and we see it with Lyon when he does tuck in. Being in this tucked in area, if his side lose the ball and they look to kind of receive the counter-attack, Gusto can be in a good rest defence position to then counter-press and help his side again win the ball back and maintain possession. So I think he would be very good at that. And I can talk about this guy for the next couple of hours if you want. There is so much that he's good at. His ball carrying is also absolutely brilliant. He loves to kind of take the ball in this area and then drive forward. His progressive carry distances are always very impressive. His progressive carries are, in general, are very impressive. And again, what that does is it draws players in. He does it in these defensive areas here. He does it in the middle third, and he does it in the final third to an extent as well. Not so much, but what he does, particularly in this middle third, is that teams know, particularly in France, that he is good at carrying the ball. They know he's a very good technical footballer, and they know that if you give him time, he will hurt you, because he's got genuine quality. We saw it in those passing numbers already. So what it means is that at times, teams not double up on him as such, but you see teams quickly react and try and get around him because they don't want to give him time on the ball. The fact that a fullback can draw that, kind of have that gravity to attract opposition defenders, is very kind of the biggest compliment you can give to Gusto. We don't see many fullbacks in the world where teams quickly react to close them down. We're talking maybe Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, players like that. Not many fullbacks get that treatment. Gusto does. And what that, of course, always means is that it frees up someone else, whether it be Antony out wide in this area or then perhaps a midfielder inside. Having this ability to draw a couple of players but still keep the composure to deal with the situation yourself is very, very beneficial to your team. In fact, Gusto is very beneficial to his team in many different ways. We can see here that in the French league, he ranks first in terms of crosses, first in terms of successful tackles, top 10 in tackles in general, top 5 in pass progression value, which again, I think would be really, really key for this United side. I think what we're going to see as Ten Hag's side continue to kind of evolve and develop is teams are going to realise that United are good on the ball, so they don't want to press them too high. So teams are going to sit off in this mid-block shape a little bit, and it's going to be, can United break them down? So the fact that Gusto is so good at progressing the ball through the lines, and also, as we've seen already, getting the ball into the box, that can only be a positive for United. It's something that Dalot does reasonably well, to be fair to him, but I think Gusto, in terms of potential and the ceiling that he can hit as a footballer, for me it's just a lot higher. I just think it is. It's just my personal opinion. His other stats, we can see number 3 for passes in the league in general, which again for a fullback, very impressive. Top 5 for passes into the final third, top 10 in blocked crosses, and also top 10 in assists via open play. And again, you've got to consider the fact that he isn't playing in a great Lyon side. But also, what you've got to consider is that if United are going to perhaps sign a new striker, which we have heard talks of, perhaps Gusto's ability to maybe cross from deeper, again against a low block, that could be something that United look to use moving forward. We know that Gusto can deliver from this area. It's a sort of area where Cancelo has had success in the past few seasons, Reece James on occasions, even someone like Kevin De Bruyne plays in this area, Trent Alexander-Arnold in the last 2 seasons, whipping balls in from this area. It's a great way to break down a low block, if United can get a taller striker in the box, or a better header of the ball, I should say. So again, Gusto could massively contribute to that. And then he's also good defensively as well. Like I said, playing in this narrower position at times means that he's ready to counter-press when the ball is lost, but also he's pretty good defensively in his own final third as well. Now, do I think he is perfect? No, because at 19 years old, it's rare to find defenders that are kind of there at that level that they need to be. I think Gusto is a player who still has flaws from a defensive point of view, but I think defenders in particular, it's the case with any position on the football pitch, but defenders especially, you get better with age because you learn certain tells of opposition players and you just experience more situations. You get used to dealing with certain scenarios, and that is something that Gusto will benefit from. He is at the moment kind of benefiting from the fact that Lyon aren't great, which means that Lyon don't always have the ball, and Lyon certainly do get attacked, they do get transitioned, they do have spells where they don't have possession, so it's putting Gusto into more and more defensive situations. So that is actually kind of aiding his development from a defensive point of view. In general, he is a good 1-versus-1 defender, he's got decent speed, so he is able to deal with most situations like that. The only concern I have at times is that he is really keen on making sure he doesn't get beat towards the byline. So in this sort of situation here, he will very much kind of sit off on the byline side. But what that does mean is it does open up the middle of the pitch a little bit. Now, perhaps with someone like Casemiro alongside him, that wouldn't be too much of a problem. But I just think it's something that Gusto needs to work on. Because he's a reasonably quick player, but he doesn't necessarily have that burst of acceleration like someone like Kyle Walker does. And I think that's why he does this. He kind of, like, in this sort of situation here, the player gets the ball, he just sits off a yard and goes, you're not going to beat me down the byline. But like I said, occasionally that does open up inside. The other concern I would have is a lack of height and his lack of aerial ability. Perhaps if he is put in situations where he's dealing with crosses at the back post, that's perhaps a vulnerability. Something that Dalot has actually dealt with reasonably well for United this season. So perhaps that's something else that Gusto can work on. But again, he is only 19 years old. Very important to remember that. I think he plays well ahead of his years. But importantly, I think he plays as a modern day fullback. And actually, in terms of, we talk about it a lot, a player's profile, what does Ten Hag want in a fullback? Someone who, yes, can defend transitions, someone who can defend his 1-versus-1 situations, but also someone who is good in a counter press, is good in the rest defence, good under pressure, good at progressing the ball, keep the ball cycling over for his side, but also get forward, cross balls into the box, work the ball into the penalty area. I think Gusto is ticking a lot of boxes. And again, the fact that he's 19 helps even more. The other probably box that he ticks is the injury thing. He's missed 1 game through injury in the last couple of seasons, which just very, very good. In terms of if we're looking at a transfer, the only thing I would say is that this is his first full season in the team. Last year he was competing with Dubois, a right back who was actually Lyon club captain at the time. Dubois is a very decent fullback, so Gusto kind of had to share game time with him for the first 2/3 of the season. However, by the end of the season, Gusto had very much pushed Dubois out of the team, and now this season it is his spot. Gusto is the right back, and I think there's a lot of quality here. And I think the other potential good thing is, when there's a lot of quality in a player like this, a young player, the price tags can be incredibly high. We know they can. You get high release clauses on players tied down to 6-year contracts, and just high demands anyway from these clubs. The thing with Gusto is that he has a contract which runs out in the summer of 2024. Now, initially it was 2023, but a clause got triggered to extend it by a year, so his contract does run out in 2024. If you think that we are heading up towards summer 2023 is the next transfer window after January, that would leave Gusto with 1 year left on his contract. And I don't think Lyon can afford to let his contract run down and let him leave for free. So perhaps this summer coming up, he could be a bit more affordable. In terms of me personally, I'd be happy to spend any amount on him. He is, if you ask me right now, my favourite young player on the planet, kind of outside of the obvious big names like the Mbappes, the Haalands, but then also the Pedris, the Bellinghams, the Musialas, it would be Gusto. I think he's real quality, and a lot of people really aren't aware of his quality yet, especially on the ball. The stuff he does on the ball is really impressive. He's excellent at getting the ball forward. He's such a technician on the ball. He can play inverted. He can play out wide. Real tactical flexibility. There is just so much to like about this guy. And then defensively, I don't think he's perfect, but I think he's better than a lot of other young defenders. So, really, there's a lot to like about him. And that's why I like him so much. And it's why, personally, I think Manchester United should try and do everything to sign him. Has Dalot done well? Yes. Is Dalot developing? Yes. Is Dalot still young and have potential? Yes. And there is kind of that need, you get that feeling that you should be loyal to Dalot and go, well, Dalot's doing well, we should keep it. I think Gusto can do so much better, though. So it's a difficult one in terms of United need a right back, we know they do, because Aaron Wan-Bissaka is probably going to leave the club, which leaves Dalot as the only right back. United need someone which can either completely outplay Dalot and put Dalot to the bench, which I think Gusto could do over time, or they need someone who is happy to play second fiddle a little bit to Dalot while they develop. Is Gusto happy to do that? I don't know, but at 19 years old, perhaps he would be happy to kind of learn in training, but also get plenty of game time, because United are in plenty of competitions. I don't know. If it was me personally, I would be signing Gusto and bringing him straight into the first team, because I think he's quality. If I was France manager, he would be in all of my squads. I think Gusto is destined for the top of the game in terms of modern day fullbacks. I really think he's special, so in my opinion, United should sign him. But now it's time to hear your opinion. Make sure to get in the comments down below and let me know what you think. Some of the positives about him as a player. Do you like what I've been saying in this video? Are there any negatives I've missed? Anything like that? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.